I never believed in haunted hotels. Ghost stories, in my mind, were nothing more than atmospheric fabrications, fragments of exaggerated folklore whispered in low voices to stir emotion in the silence. Even when people spoke with wide eyes about the Stanley Hotel, referencing The Shining as if it were a documentary, I brushed it off. Until fate rerouted me into room 217. It wasn't supposed to happen. I had booked a quaint lodge 30 miles out, but a brutal snowstorm forced them to cancel all reservations, and after hours of searching, the Stanley was the only place within 50 miles that had a vacancy. When I finally pulled into its grand, snow-covered driveway, it didn't strike me as eerie. It struck me as cinematic. Every glowing window looked deliberately staged, like lighting cues from a holiday film. The snow dusted the red roof with postcard precision. It was too perfect to be frightening. Inside, the lobby didn't feel abandoned, but it was soaked in stillness, a kind of quiet so deep it rang in my ears. There was no staff in sight, no flickering fireplace, no concierge offering a warm welcome, no muffled footsteps behind the counter. Just a gleaming brass key placed neatly on the reception desk beside a handwritten note that read, "Enjoy your stay in room 217. No signature, no explanation. I hesitated but picked up the key, pressing the cold metal between my fingers as I approached the old elevator. It groaned to life with an effortful sigh, and as it creaked upward, I found myself holding my breath without knowing why. When the doors opened, I stepped into a hallway that didn't look abandoned, but preserved, like a museum exhibit. The wallpaper was immaculate, too symmetrical to be natural, and the light fixtures cast just enough of a yellow glow to remind you that darkness hovered at the edges. Room 217 was at the very end, its door slightly ajar like it had been waiting. My heart thudded once as I stepped closer, then again, louder. I pushed the door open gently, and what I saw inside stopped me cold. My suitcase was already there, unzipped and resting on the bed. Its contents had been removed and folded with obsessive precision. Shirts stacked by shade, socks rolled into perfect pairs, toothbrush unwrapped and centered on a towel as if staged for a catalog. I hadn't even stepped into the room yet. If stories like this crawl under your skin, subscribe now and tell us where you're listening from. I checked the windows. Locked. The hallway. Empty. I told myself it had to be housekeeping or some early check-in feature. Then I looked at the clock. 3:12 a.m. No one folds your underwear at 3 a.m. I sat down on the bed, and it groaned. Not like furniture, but like someone was already lying beneath it. I stood. The noise stopped. Peeling back the covers revealed nothing but a heavy scent rising from the mattress. Sharp, metallic, undeniably gas. Old gas. The kind used in ancient pipes. I remembered something about an explosion. I grabbed my phone and searched. 1911, room 217. A housekeeper named Elizabeth Wilson lit a candle unaware of a gas leak. The explosion tore through part of the hotel. She survived, returned to work, stayed until 1950. The article ended with a chilling quote, "She still tidies the room at night." I turned off my phone and froze. The bathroom light was on. I hadn't touched it. The door was ajar, and from inside came a faint electrical hum, like static muffling a whisper. I stepped forward, hand trembling, and slowly opened the door. Steam drifted out. The mirror was fogged as though someone had just showered. I hadn't turned the water on. And there, drawn in the condensation, were 3 words. "Cleanliness is respect." My stomach turned. "Nope," I whispered, my voice cracking. I turned to leave, but then came the sound. Giggles. Soft, childlike, wrong, echoing faintly from the hallway like echoes from a dream. I cracked the door open and stepped into the corridor. At the far end stood 2 girls, dressed in white nightgowns, holding hands. Their feet hovered above the carpet, their hair fluttering in a breeze that wasn't there. I blinked. They were closer. I hadn't seen them move. I stumbled back, slammed the door shut, and locked it. The hallway was quiet, but the giggling wasn't gone. It had moved inside, low and curling behind the walls, like a memory that didn't belong to me. The bed was made again, sheets tucked, pillows fluffed, my suitcase zipped and upright. And now, something new. A single rose on the pillow, blackened at the edges, wilted, damp, like it had just been placed there. I backed into the corner. I didn't sleep. I didn't move. I sat upright, every light on, staring at the closet until morning broke through the window. The rose was gone. I dressed quickly and rushed downstairs. A man was now at the front desk, smiling like he'd expected me. "Room 217?" he asked, eyeing the key. I nodded. "That's Elizabeth's room," he said. "We don't usually book it." I paused, then told him, "Someone unpacked me." His smile faltered. "She liked things tidy," he said. "She hated clutter." I reached into my pocket and pulled out the rose. His face changed. "She died in July," he whispered. "Roses don't bloom here after September, especially not ones that look burned." I left without another word. That was 6 months ago. And then, last week I received a package. No sender. Brown paper wrapping. Inside was a brass key, room 217, tied to a blackened rose. Beneath it, a photograph. In it, I stood in the hallway of the Stanley Hotel, staring ahead. And behind me, 2 girls. Faces blurred, eyes glowing like flashlight beams. I turned the photo over. On the back, written in elegant cursive, "You forgot your things, I've unpacked them for you." I dropped the photo and turned toward my closet. The door was open. Inside sat my suitcase, already unzipped. Clothes folded, socks rolled, and from within came the faint creeping scent of old gas curling into the room like a whisper from a past I never lived. And I didn't live with anyone, I lived alone. Subscribe for more, like the video, and tell us in the comments, have you ever stayed in a hotel that gave you the feeling something else was present?